At the beginning of this section, we enter the study of Chapter 3, Theoretical Study on the Relationship between Historic Buildings and Cities. Urban renewal in modern sense originated from Industrial Revolution over 200 years ago. After World War II, urban renewal has become the most influential policy in the world. The urban renewal policy represented by Europe and the United States has a profound impact on the physical form and the social structure of cities. In the 1960s, under the guidance of formalism mainly focused on solving the physical aging of the city, urban renewal pursued material benefits too much, ignoring the protection of the city's texture, ignoring the decline of the city's function, and neglecting the restoration of the city's vitality. After the 1980s, the humanistic theory emerged quietly, and the humanistic thought emphasized that the material and spiritual needs of humans should be taken into account in the development of cities, and the core position of the beneficial principle in the renewal of cities. The urban diversity, the protection of site value, and the concept of sustainable development are the main contents of humanistic planning thought. In this chapter, we will study their basic ideas and guiding significance for urban renewal from the view of sustainable development. The theory of organic renewal, the theory of synchronic symbiosis, and the theory of place spirit. And finally found the answer to the question of abandonment or reservation of historic buildings in the reconstruction of old cities in our country, and found the methodology and basis for the protection and reuse. First, let's look at sustainable development and organic renewal. Sustainable development is a new concept based on a series of social problems caused by a one-sided pursuit of economic growth in the 1980s. It was presented in the 1987 report, Our Common Future, by the World Commission on Environment and Development. That is to meet the needs of modern people without compromising the benefits of future generations. At this time, a translation version in our country based on this report appeared. How should we understand the concept of sustainable development? We must find the balance between economic development and the protection of the natural and cultural environment. And we must have the concept of both development. Can we combine the concept of sustainable development with urban development? The answer is yes. That is why we can get the theory of sustainable urban development. The goal of sustainable urban development is to strengthen economic strength through development, and this development needs to be adapted to the environment carrying capacity. With this goal, we can get the core of sustainable development in urban construction, namely the co-evolution and co-development of city and environment. The environment mentioned here is mainly composed of natural ecological environment plus man-made environment with historical and cultural significance. Historic buildings are built in the humanistic environment. French national architect and urban planner Alain Marinoz, who has been engaged in the protection and management of French urban and rural heritage since 1970s, since 2000, he has been cooperating with Tongji University to protect Chinese urban and rural heritage for 20 years. He considered it inconceivable not to include the historical and architectural heritage within the framework of sustainable cities. He likens the city's sustainable development to driving a car, which must start the accelerator and the brake function system in the process of running. That is, the two function systems can run normally. Alain Marinos points out that if cities only pursue pure development under the action of accelerators and ignore the timely role of brake, then urban development may face serious consequences. To evaluate carefully and develop and utilize historic buildings reasonably is like starting the function of car brake of sustainable development of the city in time, which is really sustainable development. The urbanization of China reaches 60%, and historic buildings as an important element of the city play a vital role in the sustainable development of the city. We should put the protection of historic buildings in the environment of sustainable urban development and solve the problem of urban historical buildings protection from the perspective of sustainable urban development. In recent years, the city of our country has changed from incremental construction to the stage of stock renewal. The problem of the protection of the city's historic buildings is becoming more and more prominent. The problem of the protection of historic buildings is not only a simple question of how to protect a few old houses or preserve several old blocks, but it actually involves the development of a city's historical blocks and buildings and even the whole city. We should look at the issue of city historic building protection from the sustainable development of city and make clear the relationship between the historic building protection and the city's overall development, and understand the sustainable development and its principle in the historic buildings and block protection. The protection design of historic buildings should be based on the correct development view, and the development economy should not be at the expense of destroying historical memory and splitting cultural vision. Emphasizing active protection measures, changing the former passive preservation measures into adaptive utilization of people's needs. This is also the best way to stimulate the city's vitality and continue the urban context. In the following chapters, we will discuss the concrete principles and strategies of sustainable development view for historic buildings protection. After the flourishing development of 1980s, many urban problems have appeared in China, such as the disappearance of local culture, traffic congestion, and the urgent need to control living environment. Starting from the early 1990s, Mr. Wu Liangyong put forward the organic renewal theory in the book Beijing Old City and Ju'er Hutong. Through the comprehensive study of the renewal of Beijing Old City and the development of Western City, combining the specific situation and the current situation of China. Organic is that parts of things are interconnected and inseparable, just like an organism. Renewal is to make it rotate, replace, regenerate. City is the center of human settlement. It is an organism with human beings as the main body, natural environment as the support, economic activities as the foundation. It is an organism with close and extensive social relationship. It is running increasingly according to its own law. The history of urban development can be said to be a process of continuous self-renewal, transformation, development, and improvement. Urban renewal is not a new concept. Since the birth of a city, urban renewal exists in the whole process of urban development as the mechanism of urban self-regulation, which is often manifested as a large-scale transformation process in urban development since urbanization. In the West, urban renewal is the unity of urban protection, regulation, and development. In our country, urban renewal mainly refers to old city renewal, old city reconstruction. Wu Liangyong defined the organic renewal theory in this way. In accordance with the internal development law of the city's texture is obeyed. And on the basis of sustainable development, the city is explored for renewal and development. Therefore, the historical environment should be treated carefully in the renewal of the old city, and the historical continuity should be protected by the design method. Organic renewal requires that the relationship between the past, present, and the future be well handled by applying a local and sustainable development perspective according to the actual content and the requirements of the transformation. Let the development of the city keep pace with the times as the living thing to renew, metabolize, and improve the overall environment. For the old city reconstruction, organic renewal should be comprehensive and systematic, which can be put as follows. The first is the organic nature of the whole city, the city as an organism from the whole to the details, each structure related to each other organically, forming an order. The function of a city should be coordinated and integrated as a whole. The second is the organic nature of the reconstruction of historical buildings. As a cell that constitutes the city, historic buildings need to be constantly reconstructed, and the renewal process conforms to the original city texture while paying attention to the multivariate changes of the renewal subject, ensuring the continuity of the context and the balance of development. Finally, is organic character of the transformation process. Like a living organism, it breathes forth the new, replacing the old materials with new materials. The step-by-step small-scale update model is adopted with appropriate scale, fragmentation, stage, and rolling development according to the inherent necessity and the law. We will continue to improve the quality and level of planning and design according to the development of the times. The concept of sustainable development and organic renewal of the city puts forward the renewal direction for the historic building protection from the microscopic angle of the city, which provides important theoretical support for the reuse design and has the guiding significance in methodology. The above is the basic connotation of the concept of sustainable development and organic renewal theory.